There's a part of the forest no one talks about. The kind of place where the trees seem too old, the silence too deep, and the air too still. It's the sort of forest you can get lost in, even if you've walked its trails 100 times. And no matter how many times you try to leave, something about it keeps you in, like it's watching. That's what happened to Lena. She thought it was just another hike, a quiet escape from the noise of her life. But the deeper she went, the more something felt wrong. She felt it at first in her bones, an unease she couldn't explain. Then it was the shadows that moved when they shouldn't, the trees that bent toward her with every step, and the feeling, always the feeling, that something, or someone, was following her. Lena didn't know it yet, but she was about to find out just what it means to be watched in that forest. It was supposed to be a simple weekend getaway, a solo hiking trip in a part of the woods she'd visited before. But something had changed. The familiar path, the one she always took, seemed unfamiliar this time. The trees were denser, the sky dimmer, the air thick, almost stifling. It was a sense of quiet that felt too heavy. Lena kept walking, pushing, through the silence. She had her gear, water, a compass, a map, and a pack full of provisions. She wasn't worried. The forest had always been a place she found peace. There was something calming about the isolation, the simplicity of nature. But as the hours passed, she started to notice something odd. The woods weren't as quiet as they used to be. The birds, which usually chirped from the branches, were silent. Even the wind had stopped blowing. The only sound was the steady crunch of her boots on the trail. She glanced at her phone to check the time, but there was no signal. She shrugged it off. Nothing to worry about. But the deeper she went, the more the feeling of being watched crept, and by the time Lena reached the old stone bridge, the uneasy feeling had become a presence, a weight on her chest that refused to lift. The trail was supposed to loop back toward the campsite, but the bridge, weathered and half-collapsed, looked different now. The stones beneath it were cracked, and the water below, once clear, was dark and murky, like ink had spilled into it. She hesitated, unsure of whether to cross. Something about the bridge didn't seem right, but she couldn't explain why. She took a step forward, then another. With each movement, the air around her seemed to grow colder. And then she heard it, a soft breath. At first she thought it was the wind, but there was no wind. Her heart skipped a beat. She stopped. Her eyes scanned the trees, but there was no movement, just shadows. Lena decided to keep going. She had no choice. She needed to get back to the campsite, but that's when she saw it. A figure, standing between the trees just out of the corner of her eye. A pale silhouette, too still to be a person. The longer she stared, the more it seemed to melt into the shadows, as though it were never really there. She shook her head, trying to convince herself it was just her imagination. But the figure didn't disappear. It lingered, watching her. The forest had changed. It no longer felt like part of the world Lena knew. The trees were older now, twisted, hunched, bark like brittle bones. Fog hung in the air even at noon, curling around branches, masking the distance. There was no path anymore, only directionless space. Still, she walked. Every step deeper into the woods felt like walking backward in time. Her phone was dead. Her gear was reduced to scraps. Even her memories of the trailhead felt distant now, like dreams from another life. And all the while she felt it, following. Not with footsteps, but with presence. She finally stopped when she saw the clearing. It was a place she hadn't seen before, and yet she knew it. Wide, perfectly round. Trees at its edges leaning away from the center as if recoiling. In the very middle stood a tree unlike the others. Tall, bare, its limbs reaching up like broken arms. Beneath it was a stone altar, flat and smooth, overgrown with moss and black lichen. She approached slowly as if compelled. On the surface of the stone were dozens of handprints, some large, some small, all pressed into the stone, faintly scorched. One was still fresh. She didn't want to get closer, but her body moved anyway. The tree's bark was carved with symbols, deep scratches spiraling upward. Faces were hidden in its knots. Not carved, not natural. Faces that seemed to press from beneath the wood, like something was trapped inside and wanted out. Then she heard it again, breathing. But now it wasn't behind her. It was everywhere, all around and above. She looked up. High in the tree, draped over the largest branch like a slumped corpse, was a figure. Pale skin, too pale. Skin that seemed to glow faintly in the dim forest light. Its limbs hung low, arms like ropes, fingers far, too long. Its face was hidden behind a curtain of black hair, but Lena didn't need to see it to know. It was the thing that watches. It was real, and it was waiting. It didn't move like an animal. It unfolded, first a twitch, then a slow stretch. Joints cracking, head rotating until it faced her without shifting the hair. It dropped from the branch silently, hit the ground without sound, and then stood, taller than she remembered, almost reaching the low branches above. She couldn't move, not out of fear, something more, a paralysis of the mind, the kind you feel in dreams where you want to run but your body won't listen. The thing stepped forward. Its feet left no mark. Its presence weighed nothing. But Lena felt the pull, like gravity reversed, as if it were drawing her upward. It tilted its head, slowly, and then it mimicked her voice. "I want to go home," her exact words from 2 days ago. Then again, "Is anyone out there?" Another phrase she had whispered when she thought she was alone. It was repeating her, not just her words, her voice, perfectly, with tone, inflection, fear. The thing's head began to shudder, just slightly, a vibration beneath the stillness. Then, it said something new. "Stay." One word, not hers, its own. Lena stepped back. The thing didn't follow. Instead, it crouched, long arms resting on the ground like a spider folding in. It didn't need to chase her. It knew. This was never about running. It wanted her to understand, to see. The altar behind her began to change. At first, she thought it was the light, but no. Something shimmered at its surface. Shapes, faces. A boy with a red scarf, a woman with hiking boots, an older man with a camera. All of them appeared in the stone, and then vanished, replaced by others. Dozens, hundreds. People who had walked into these woods and never left. She was next. She turned and ran, but the forest didn't move as it should. Every step forward stretched time. Trees passed in slow motion. Her breath came faster, louder, but the world dulled around her, muted like sound underwater. Behind her, she could still feel it. Following. Not with speed, with inevitability. She stumbled, fell, and for one moment as her face pressed into the damp ground, she saw something beneath the moss. Bones. Tiny ones, fingers, a jaw. Just beneath the surface, like the woods were growing over the people they claimed. She screamed. The scream wasn't loud, it was swallowed. She scrambled to her, feet, and saw light, real light, a break in the trees, distant but unmistakable. A shift in the air, wind that smelled like dust in cars and smoke. Civilization, the edge of the forest. She ran toward it, and for the first time, the thing moved to stop her. She didn't see it at first. She heard it. Shriek, not loud, not sharp, but deep. Like the earth itself groaning in protest. And behind her, branches snapped. Trees shook. Something massive moved through the woods, no longer hiding. She didn't look back. Not until she hit the dirt road, collapsed, breathless, sobbing. She turned around. Nothing. Just trees. Silent again. Watching. Lena didn't remember how she got back to town. The road she collapsed on eventually led to a ranger station. A man in a green vest and wide-brim hat found her sitting on the steps when the morning shift began. She didn't speak at first. Couldn't. Just sat there, skin pale, lips cracked, eyes staring out at the trees. He asked if she was lost. She only nodded. Eventually, after some warm water and a blanket, she muttered the name of her campsite. The man frowned. "That area's been closed for months," he told her gently. "Forest Service flagged it after 3 hikers vanished last year." She blinked at him. "What do you mean? I got a permit." The ranger looked through records. Nothing. No such permit. No registration under her name. Lena was quiet after that, and when they offered to take her to a hospital, she refused. All she wanted was to go home. Lena once read that some forests never let go of the people who walk through them. They take something, their mind, their memories, their very essence, and leave only echoes behind. But she didn't believe it. Not then. Now every time she steps outside, she feels the weight of 1,000 eyes on her, watching from the shadows, waiting for her to forget, to slip up, to wander again. She knows she can never truly leave the forest behind. Not now. Not after it's learned her name. And as the wind whispers through the trees, she swears she hears it again, soft and close. Just like before, "Stay.